Good for you. Good morning. My name is Mary McPhail Gray, and I'm a member of this congregation. And it's nice to see the sun out today, even though the water was wonderful, and to have you all here this morning. As we start, please notice those little electronic things you have that make sounds and turn them off. The United Universalists are a liberal community, gathering to reflect on our bonds of love, living our values, living our commitments, our belief in the sanctity of life. No creed or theology limits us, and we strive to express those principles that you see on the wall. Today, our minister, Diana Davies, has selected for her sermon the theme of love, how we create it, how we experience it, how we share it, how we recognize it in the little everyday opportunities to explore it. She truly leads us through her own journey of choosing joy in spite of what life gives us. We're grateful to the joy that our pianist, Martha Grossman, brings us at every service. The joy we all find through the news and the connections that Rachel Cohen makes certain we're provided with. The special joy in special music that Gail Minton collects for us. And the joyful facilitation, sometimes even with jokes, that Joe Mazza provides as we share our ideas together during the service. We believe that reaching out and taking in welcoming new neighbors is important for this congregation. If you are people who are here for the first time or have been away a while, we welcome you. If you are comfortable doing so, please stand. Wait for Joe to bring you the mic and introduce yourself and tell us how you found us. Oh, good. Here's John.
Hold on, John.
Hello. Hi, my name is John Offerson. I live in Costilla and have been for about a year. And Elaine brought me here this morning. Actually, I brought myself, but she invited me. And I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Special note today, there's coffee. There's also refreshments with the coffee, so stay and talk with each other afterwards. And in keeping with our current order of service, I want to just share some announcements which people have given to me or which you've known about hopefully before. Notice the note in your newsletter that the circles are always held on the second and fourth Sundays of the month. And Don would like to remind people or suggest to people that if they want to be social, come early and talk with each other before the formal program starts. Next Sunday will be the 14th, and that will be a circle, and the 28th, a circle also with an open topic. The women's luncheon is on Tuesday, the 15th of April. The men's group meets on the next day, the 16th of April. The game night for the month is on the 23rd of April. It's been canceled. Okay, that's for this summer. And the book group is on the 24th. If any of you want more information about that, we can make sure you get contact with it. If you've been waiting for a new name tag, Rachel has made a new batch of them For those of you who are on the sign-up sheets, pictures up on the table near the other sheets. And you will notice that there are other ways to be of support to the community, such as bringing flowers or providing support for snacks after the service. So please feel impelled to do that. Diane brought these. She always finds amazing things to put together, too. She's an artist, you know. So. There was a water bottle, I'm told a very high-quality water bottle, left last Sunday on the 30th. So if anybody forgot their water bottle here, you can find it by talking to Rachel, I think. It's over on the table. Okay. If there are no other announcements, I turn it over to Martha.
Welcome. In your courage and in your fear, in your joy and in your heartbreak, in your exhaustion and in your energy, in all that you are, all that you have been, all you are becoming, you are welcome here. If you're joining us for the first time today, I'm Reverend Diana Davies. My pronouns are she, her. Our opening words come from the poet Andrea Gibson, who writes, "This is what we do. We gather each other up. We say the cup is half yours and half mine. We say alone is the last place you will ever be." Please rise in body or in spirit for the lighting of our chalice, and the words are in your order of service. We light our flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In the search for truth, may we be just. In the search for justice, may we be loving. And in loving, may we find peace. And remaining as you are, let's sing our song for gathering, words printed in your order of service.
Forgive me for not saying this earlier. Mimi is good. She had a heavy cold and she had laryngitis and she didn't think she could come and be the lay leader. So I got kicked off from Easter to come here. Yes, she will. As we navigate our lives, we experience a range of joys and sorrows. If you have those feelings that you would like to share today, please come forward, choose a stone, drop it in the water, and speak to us about your joy or sorrow that you wish to share.
I'm Julian, and yesterday I was walking down the street in Taos, and there was a lot of people out there for my birthday. And then I discovered it was a protest. And it was a great time, and I saw several of you out there. It was lovely. It was good to see so many people.
We should sing happy birthday next, I guess.
I have so many joys and sorrows, but of course I'm going to stick to the really personal ones. And I just went to Washington, D.C. last week to see my daughter, who is pregnant. That's my joy. My sorrow is that it's at this time and that she refuses to get married, but you know, it's okay. She's a modern woman. She can do what she wants. And then also that I saw the Constitution in person. And it was a great reminder. There were people 6 deep lined up all the way around this entire room to see the documents. And I thought, there's a lot of patriotism, and they are not going to rip that from us. They're just not.
Linda and I have what I would describe as the proud parent joy. Some of you have met our daughter, Kate Albrecht. She's been here at least a couple of times. And a week ago, she learned that she has been awarded a major fellowship. She's been awarded by the American Academy for the Advancement of Science, a fellowship in recognition of her research and teaching in the field of sustainability. So, proud parents.
Wonderful.
Just remember Dave Vaughn and Meredith. Dave is going through a really rough time now in cardiac intensive care in Denver and in palliative care. So we need to be thinking of Dave and Meredith.
I have a joy. I just attended an intimate, beautiful wedding yesterday of some friends of mine who met each other later in life, and it was just a beautiful, joyous occasion. And it was nice to celebrate something joyous. And
Hello, family.
Hi.
Family, this is John. John is my family.
I told Elaine this morning that I thought it was a little early to be meeting her family. But it's very nice to meet you all.
And she got you put to work right away.
Yeah. Well, I'm that sort.
I'm indulging myself this morning with a bit of Rudyard Kipling. I have done what most women do and pushed it out of my mind. But I can't forget, if I wanted to. 4 feet trotting behind. Day after day, the whole day through, wherever my road inclined, 4 feet said, I'm coming with you, and trotted along behind. This is for my dog Kona, which I put down on Tuesday.
And one more stone for all of the joys and the sorrows not expressed out loud here today. Ooh, the water's warm. This is an excerpt from one of my favorite poems called Catalogue of Unabashed Gratitude by Ross Gay. Thank you, friends. When last spring the hyacinth bells rang and the crocuses flaunted their upturned skirts, and a quiet roved the beehive, which when I entered were snugged 2 or 3 dead fist-side clutches of bees between frames, almost clinging to one another. This one's tiny head pushed into another's tiny wing. One's forelegs resting on another's face. The translucent paper of their wings fluttering beneath my breath. And when a few dropped to the frames beneath, honey. And after falling down to cry, everything's glacial shine. Thank you, the ancestor who loved you before she knew you, by smuggling seeds into her braided hair for the long journey, who loved you before he knew you by putting a walnut tree in the ground, who loved you before she knew you by not slaughtering the land, who sailed his keys into the ocean and walked safely home, who did not fire, who did not plunge the head into the toilet, who said, "Stop, don't do that," who lifted some broken someone up, who volunteered the way a plant birthed of the receding plant is called a volunteer. Like the plum tree that marched beside the raised bed in my garden. Like the arugula that marched itself between the blueberries. Nary a bayonet, nary an army, nary a nation. Which usage of the word volunteer, familiar to gardeners, the wide world, made my pal shout, "Oh!" and dance and plunge his knuckles into the lush soil before gobbling 2 strawberries and digging a song from his guitar made of wood from a tree someone planted. Thank you. And you, again, you, dear friend, I know I can be long winded sometimes. I want so badly to rub the sponge of gratitude over every last thing, including you, which, yes, awkward, the suds in your ear and armpit, the little sparkling gems slipping into your eyes. Soon it will be over, which is precisely what the child in my dream said, holding my hand, pointing at the roiling sea and the sky hurtling our way like so many buffalo, who said, it's much worse than we think, and sooner. To whom I said, no, duh, child in my dreams. What do you think this singing and shuddering is? What this screaming and reaching and dancing and crying is, other than loving what every second goes away? Goodbye, I mean to say, and thank you every day. Would you please join me in a spirit of meditation? I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. Relax your shoulders, move your neck, whatever feels right. And I invite you to take some deep breaths. On the breath in, I invite you to imagine you are smelling the best thing, your favorite food, your favorite flowers, the way the earth smells after rain. And when you exhale, I invite you to imagine that you are blowing bubbles, breathing in that good, beautiful smell, breathing out bubbles. Many of us have a practice of metta, the loving kindness meditation. We're going to do a variant of that today that focuses specifically on the self. So I invite you to bring into your mind's eye a picture of yourself as you are now. And then to extend from your heart to yourself, that image of yourself, the wish. May I be well. May I be at ease. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. And taking a moment just to enjoy that sense of self-love and self-care, resting in ease and peace and happiness. And bringing awareness back to the breath. Again, imagining every breath out, you are blowing bubbles of happiness. And you might imagine all of those other bubbles of happiness being blown all around you into space, shining in the light, little rainbows adorning each one. Holding the breath, the life of all these beloveds around you. And then as you're ready, no rush, coming back into this space and this time. Someone once said to me that you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel when you have to dig up stories from CPE, from student chaplaincy, for sermon material. Well, that may be true, but this is a story I want to share with you regardless. I did my clinical pastoral education in a very large urban hospital, and I covered several medical and mental health floors. One day, a young man came up to me while I was doing rounds, and he gave me the biggest smile. He asked, "You're that chaplain who's a Unitarian Universalist, right?" I said that I was. And he nodded and he passed me a piece of paper that had been folded up multiple times. He told me to open it, and there on the paper was this intricate mandala drawn in black ink with mysterious letters in the corners. And at the top of the paper, there were the words Unitarian Universalist. Well, the young man's expression became serious then, and he told me that he had an important secret to share with me. Taking a pen out of his pocket, he wrote a big letter F on the left side of the paper. And then he stepped away and he said, "Do you see it? That's the truth. You are a funitarian funiversalist." Well, in moving to Taos last spring, I threw away a lot of things, but one thing I did not throw away was that little slip of paper. I keep it because I need to be reminded both of that lovely spirit who passed through my life and of that deep truth. I am a funitarian funiversalist, or at least I aspire to be. I say aspire because while I fully embrace those words that serve as shorthand for our core values, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, independence, generosity, and at the heart of it all, love, there's one important word missing from that list that I have a harder time with. That little word, fun. All those UU value words sound so grand. It's easy to feel important promoting and embodying those multi-syllabic principles. Justice, equity, transformation. And as for love, what is grander and more meaningful than that? But fun? Or even its somewhat more serious sounding sibling joy? Who has time for that? Especially now, when all our other values are under attack, when college students are being grabbed off the street, thrown into unmarked vans by unidentified masked men and disappeared, when immigrants in legal status are sent to torture prisons in El Salvador and abandoned there, when both our economy and our democratic institutions are being dismantled overnight, when trans people are being legislated out of existence, when history and facts are being erased, when there is so much suffering. Who has time for joy or for fun in the face of all that? Wouldn't it be wrong of me to be joyful when so many others are enduring so much terror, so much pain? Isn't joy just a distraction from a terrible truth that must eventually be faced head on? Well, that little voice of progressive guilt is insistent, and it is strong. And I suspect I'm not alone in feeling this way sometimes. Mandy M., an author, teacher, and a self-proclaimed wellness witch, has created a belief audit to help guilt-ridden liberals come to terms with their troubled relationship with joy. I'm going to read a list of questions, and I ask you to consider honestly if this is something you've ever worried about, even just the littlest bit. First, is suffering the price of awareness? Or putting it differently, is suffering proof of empathy? Second, if you experience joy and happiness, is there less available for others? Is it selfish to feel joy when others are suffering? And finally, is being happy or joyful or having fun a privilege you haven't earned? Well, let's take these worries apart, shall we? Going back to that first one, if suffering led to awareness and was evidence of empathy, wouldn't the world be a whole lot more woke now? And it wouldn't be a lot kinder? Clearly, that second worry is patently false. Emotions aren't limited resources. One person's sadness doesn't relieve another's despair. Joy isn't a zero-sum game, although many capitalists would want you to believe that it is, since that's the only way it might be turned into a commodity. And then there's that whole privilege problem, which is especially prickly for those of us who do indeed occupy various positions of privilege, including being white, cisgender, heterosexual, financially secure, etc. Do we deserve to be joyful just because of our station in society? I really like what the poet and essayist Ross Gay has to say about this matter. He writes, quote, "To be without access to a park or clean water, or to be without health care is violence. It is abnormal, even if it is the norm. And it is an imposition of precarity that is not natural. It is not simply an affliction, it is an infliction. It is on purpose. and the withholding from some of the means of life, of which means there are plenty to go around, is a disprivilege. Which is to say, life, though it is a gift, is not a privilege. And rather than indulging in virtue signaling that simply reifies or maybe even enjoys the guilt, how about instead we figure out how to get rid of disprivilege? Unquote. There's one more myth, one more groundless worry about the experience of joy that Mandy M. doesn't include in her belief inventory, but which I alluded to earlier as something that I've found myself wondering sometimes. And that is joy just an escape, a distraction from the pain and suffering and death that we all must face eventually? Hidden under this worry at a deeper level, feeling like a childish superstition that we never really overcame, is another concern, which is, if I let myself feel joy utterly and freely, am I just setting myself up for more pain? Well, the truth, of course, is that there is no safety in suffering, no protection in pain. Although authoritarians and dictators would want us to believe differently. Because if they can convince us that suffering is our normal state, then they can proclaim themselves to be the givers of joy. If they can make us believe that joy is indeed a limited resource available to some more than others, then they can make us turn on each other to fight for a limited joy that is parceled out by people in high positions who can offer exceptions to draconian rules, who can take from the many to give to the few, who can choose who will lose, or, if they ask nicely enough, who will gain. And this is why, in the words of poet Toy Derrico, joy is an act of resistance. Because while tyrants grant humanity only to some, joy bridges differences and reminds us of our shared state of being human. While tyrants win by dividing us, joy is infectious. It spreads and it connects. While tyrants gain by wearing us down, by making us bitter, confused, heartbroken, and exhausted, joy reminds us of why we are in the fight in the first place. Joy reminds us that life can be beautiful and awe-inspiring and can give us goosebumps. And sometimes it can even be fun. Joy is both how and why we stay in the fight for a long time. Yes, it's the nature of being human that we will know loss and we will experience pain. And it turns out that joy isn't a pleasant blip, a side excursion on the way to death. Joy and pain are intertwined. Together, they are the experience of being alive. In his book, Inciting Joy, Ross Gay celebrates those things that bring liberatory joy to our lives. Many of these things are no surprise. Nature's bountiful generosity, the thrill of wasting time, the rhizomatic spread of happiness found in a community orchard. Gay also rhapsodizes about the bliss of dancing and skateboarding, of pickup basketball games, of the kind of music where one artist pays homage to another and an endless chain of honoring and creating. But all those uplifting and joyful essays are bookended by stories about death and grief. Because even in the deepest sadness, there are moments of exquisite beauty and joy. And the most precious moments of joy are marked by an awareness that they are fleeting. In my student chaplaincy and later in my ministry, I've had the honor of attending many deaths. And I can tell you that there is a sacred beauty in the combination of joy and despair. And I truly believe that it is often an expression of joy that allows the dying to finally let go. I've seen it happen too many times to believe it's a coincidence. It's after being sung to, after hearing the raucous laughter of relatives, after telling one last joke, after eating one last spoonful of ice cream, that a person feels free to move on. Joy is, in so many ways, a release, a sacred surrender. But not yet, dear ones. Not yet. Because joy is also a reminder of why we keep living, why we keep fighting for all those things that are our birthright and which no tyrant can take away. For bees, for seeds, for acts of kindness and tales of courage, for discovery, for songs, both silly and superlative, for clever protest signs, for favorite slippers, for crows playing on the wind, for sundrops peeking out of snow, for old friends, for wasting time, for dried flowers that sometimes fall out of old books, for the sound of dogs sleeping and dreaming, for laughter that turns into snorts. Fill in the blank with the thing you love. Fill in the blank with what brings you joy. For all of it, we fight. For all of it, we rejoice. Amen.
Our community is sustained by the talents, by the gifts, the time of our members. Thank you for sharing your financial gifts this morning. Please note, as we share the rest of the service, that Martha will play beautiful music that brings us joy at the end, and we can sit and silently take in the joy. Now it's time to turn to hymn number 327.
Please rise in body or in spirit. And while we have not sung this hymn while we haven't sung this hymn before, I think I'm saying it too close. You know the tune, and I especially invite you. This is so. Just have fun with this. Look on the second page at the top, where it says "joins again, humankind." You see that part where you hold the note? Man, hit that. Hit that. Humankind, right? Just do it for me, right? Distant spheres, really hit it. All right. Thank you. You're going to sing the German. I'm very proud of you. Please be seated. Our closing words come from Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the cause. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. Please join me in saying the words and extinguishing our chalice written in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These until we are together again. As Mary mentioned before, we invite you to remain seated as we listen to the postlude, a kind of a nice shavasana, a resting before we go back out into the day. First, I would like to offer you this blessing. Go in love, go in justice, in interdependence, in generosity. Go to do the good and hard work that must be done. But know in your hearts always and never forget that you are funitarian funiversalists. And you have a beautiful and powerful secret to share with the world. Go then, enjoy. May it be so.